Hello, everyone, and welcome to your weekly dose of Truth Tarot with me, Terry Ann Nikitas. And what we're going to look at this week is because today, November 28th, is the last quarter, and then December 4th will be the full moon when this reading ends. We're going to look at a card that will give us the energy dynamic in the vertical, not horizontal. That's what I'm going to ask. Whether it gives us vertical or horizontal, that's up to the cards, of course. So that means no time, like no time, space, history, past, present, future is all in the present moment. Okay, so let's look at this. Sorry, my hair is still wet and it's bothering me a little bit. All right, let's see what we need to examine today, what for the week, and I am keeping in tune. We are in the waxing moon. Of course, it's a good time to cut hair, which I haven't done yet, but will do. So it encourages growth. Here we go. I split the deck, and the card is the High Priestess. All right. So this is a great time. I don't really like how this card shows up here, but maybe we can, if I turn it too much, you're going to see my desk, etc. It's a really beautiful card, but doesn't really do it justice on the iPhone. Anyway, let's look at it this way. There you go. So it's really gold. The gold makes the shadow of the priestess. So High Priestess is refers to me as the tarot reader, but it would also refer to any of you that are, one, doing tarot reading, trying to read the signs, and looking for that inner intuitive wisdom. So here we are at the last quarter of the getting into the full moon. So it is a waxing moon, which means, okay, if we get the High Priestess, this is a great time for our intuition to really kind of evolve, let's say. I don't believe it evolves, it's more a clarification. But for all intents and purposes, evolve works as a word if we understand that we already have whatever intuition we have, each and every one of us. However intuitive you are, that is the level. But you can lack clarity when it comes to listening to intuition. You might lack clarity in light of, hold on a second. All right, sorry about that. It said my internet was unstable, so I wanted to make sure that it was stabilizing. All right, so what we've got, as I was saying, is that we understand that there can be an evolution to how we perceive our intuition, a refinement. So all of these categories. So the evolution would be part of refinement, getting rid of belief systems, clarifying my five senses, your five senses, physical and subtle five senses. You might be in need of clarifying your gut brain. What if you have a better diet, right? We know that when we fast, we're going to see things a lot more clearly once you get past the what do you call it phase, the toxin phase and the headache phase. You know, when I do really long fasts, which I haven't done for a while, but 21-day fasts are great. You know, sometimes rice fast, sometimes water fast, sometimes fruit fast, whichever one. It's getting too late in the season to do one of these long fasts, but daily fast, 24-hour fast, 36-hour fast, those can be really helpful to improving intuition. Of course, once we get to winter, this is according to Ayurveda, not good to do fasts, right? Doing a fast in the middle of winter is probably not a good idea because there's traditionally throughout history we had a shortage of food in wintertime, whether it was a dry cycle in warm countries and there wasn't enough vegetation or animals were experiencing drought, to our climate, my climate, where there's a lot of snow and you would have a shortage of animals and a shortage of berries or whatever. So, and you can't grow anything obviously in the winter. Today, that's not quite the problem, but if you're still following seasonal cycles and you tune into that, it's obviously way better for your health. Like now, the light has gone down at this present time in my city. The light is diminishing till the 21st. So we're going to the uh, darkest day of the year on the 21st of December, which is not very far away. Yeah, it's approximately a month away. And it's a little less than a month, I think. So, what we're going to be looking at is the these elements of our intuition. So whether it's your gut brain, bad eating, you're in need of a detox, a fast, whether you need to clear your filters, you need to look at your belief systems, do some self inquiry. You can check on AI what self inquiry is, but it is asking questions that inquire into the reality of being, not into knowledge, like, oh, why is, what does this mean and that mean in relationship to a definition, but exploring what you think it means, what you think something means, and seeing basically your conflicting ideas. And when you do that, there is definitely a release in the nervous system. So you can join me for that. I do that work on Tuesdays. You can always write me and ask me if you um, want to participate, and I'll set you up for participation. And the other thing is um, not interpreting your intuition with too much head stuff, right? So when I look at this high priestess from my gut, it goes, okay, my high priestess is in my excuse me. Oh, it serves me right for being in a bit of a cool day with wet hair. I get the sneezes. Really sorry about that. So what comes up right away, my gut starts stirring as I see the high priestess, and she's notifying me of what could be going wrong in the world and with my body mind. If I focus in on myself, it tells me I still need some clearing of the gut brain, and that's related to some of the surgeries I've had and difficult times in life that still need some clearing. Those difficult times where um, where I've been assaulted. Um, I won't describe what that is, but a lot of people know about that. I have been, you know, had surgery, which you could say, oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. So many people have had hip surgery. Yes, but we can't pay lip service to what that does in the body minds. There's some days, I can really feel the cold of the metal. I can, feel some grieving of not having, my own hips and joints. There are a lot of things that go on in the body, especially for those of us who are highly sensitive, because in combination with high priestess can be someone who's high sensitive, of which I am one of those people, high sensitive. High sensitives usually find it really difficult to be around a lot of people. I even had a discussion in I think it was last week's uh, tarot reading was, when we're around a lot of people, uh, and we believe some people believe they're empathetic of the planet and everyone on the planet. And I just go, the minute I even say those words, I kind of pull back and go, I can't handle that. So, you could maybe lack sensitivity and you think you have empathy for everyone, but feeling everyone's feelings all in one fell swoop, I think would probably fry out the nervous system. How do I know that? Well, I know plenty of people, and including myself, where when that occurs, the immune system is fried out. The other thing to look for is in this increasing moon, people who wish others ill will. People who wish others ill will. Now, a wonderful thing about that when it comes to the person who's wishing you ill will is that very often it bounces off the other person and comes back at you tenfold. There are people who say it's sevenfold. Some people say it's tenfold. You could go out and wish someone ill will, start, cursing people, and you'll see how fast that ruins your day and how terrible your day can be versus when you're wishing goodwill, not forcing it on others. Some people try to force goodwill on others, force smiles on others, force happiness on others, force politeness on others. Uh, that comes off as extremely, extremely aggressive. There are some people trying to force goodwill on someone who's having a terrible day. That's not what they need. They may need understanding, they may need a moment, they may need some compassion. If you have empathy, you'll understand that somebody's having a bad day. And forcing goodwill on them, maybe just saying, "Are you okay?" is the goodwill, but forcing, "Why don't you be happy? Why don't you smile?" That kind of aggression. I find that extremely aggressive. I remember there was a woman who used to always come into, let's say, whatever groups I was giving, meditations and different types of self-inquiry groups that I was doing, all the Reiki groups, and this woman would appear and force you to hug her. And that's fine. You want to hug, but saying no, you have to hug like this, and you have to move your arm like this, and you have to come closer to me. I'm quite a tall person. I mean, not as tall as Swedes, etc., but at 5'10" and with the shoes on, 5'11", and that's quite tall. So even if with running shoes, I can be that tall. So this tiny little woman would come in and grab me and pull me downward, and the angle and the pulling would often, cause little weaknesses in my spine. It would be very tiring. I usually spent a whole day hugging people, and uh, very often some people were super forceful, and by the time you get to 5, 6, 7, 8 o'clock at night, you're tired, the body needs some rest, and you have somebody pulling you down, to get their hug, and tell you have to lean this way or that way after you're sore from talking and lecturing and writing on the board. It's like, now I need some TLC. So it becomes very aggressive. And yeah, I'm just trying to point out, we're not walking around forcing anyone to feel good. We are part of that when we have the wherewithal. When you don't have a good day, it's hopefully there'll be a person around who's having a better day and able to hear you out. So, with that said, you need to be highly intuitive. If you are not intuitive and you get a bad reaction for forcing your goodwill on someone, it could be a sign that you are forcing it. That you're trying. Trying is definitely against the high priestess. The high priestess is female. Feminine is passive. Not passive as in, just not doing anything. When I am not moving at all, which can happen sometimes, I often, with the camera on, it's really weird. I find like my body mind says, you got to keep talking. But when I'm doing treatment or if I'm talking to someone, I can all of a sudden just, now I'm completely, in that moment, I was completely in my feminine, which means it's not just asleep. There's a dynamism going on. There could be a resting period that allows everything to readjust. There can be that moment where you're experiencing the complete um, uh, receiving of what is needed. I do focus it. I do focus on what I would like to perceive. The reason for that being is that many, many years ago, when I was, the reason why I started to use the tarot is not necessarily only because of my childhood curiosity when I was 12 or 11, 1971, 72, or in around there, I started using the tarot. I was already highly intuitive. I could already see probabilities and outcomes. You could say, "Oh yes, you're psychic." I don't know about that. I'm not quite sure. I'm not. I haven't really put that down to psychic. There's a teacher I had who said, "You know your psychic is psychic when you look um, at their cellulite. If they have a lot of cellulite, they're psychic." You never explained why, but to me, it was always about water, having lots of water, and that water is a high conduit. And probably there are other reasons, but in that moment, he was gone, so I never remembered to ask him, and he's now passed away. So if anybody knows that answer, I'd love to hear it. And I probably should do a reading on it and see what that says. So yes, I have plenty of cellulite, so that really, is one of the things I've been told as a signal. I've also been told by some native people that you are water, and and I could pick up so many things for them that they love to come to me for readings. The other thing that you would want to look at when you're looking at your high priestess and understanding her is to, um, as I already said, get a clean gut. So, anyway, I wanted to go back into the story I was telling you. It just happened that my gut went. Make sure you tell them about the clean gut so you're able to read things properly. So, in any case, whether I was psychic or am psychic, or I do get visions, I'm clairvoyant, clairaudient, clairsentient, and I see things, I can smell things, but it's not always guaranteed, which I find really interesting. There are some people who say they can always see, let's say, the boyfriend of a particular girl who's going to meet this guy. I don't do that. Sometimes I can see them and sometimes I don't. Sometimes I can hear them, sometimes I don't. Sometimes I can feel them and sometimes I don't. So is that practice? Is that sure, it can be practiced, but it won't evolve. It'll just clear the filters that tell you you're not doing it. In any case, what I was trying to point out before is that when I hone in on something, which is really important for the high priestess, not to just be general. We can look for signs, of course, which is general. You walk around, you have signs, but a lot of people are interpreting everything as a sign. I like to hone in on one subject and then look for the signs, let's say, to guide me to the thing that I want, guide me there. And one of the reasons that I learned to do that was that I was using the tarot cards to kind of block energy because there was too much energy from the querent coming at me or whoever was asking me questions. So, and in my young years, I used to drink too. It actually opens you up, but it also blocks you from feeling everything. It kind of puts you in one area, but who can drink now? Who wants to drink? It's not very good for you. So that's how I could go out in the evening, whereas now I just can't go out. I have to work really hard to get myself prepared to go out, let's say to a restaurant or to dinner. Otherwise, I feel very uncomfortable. And I actually, on my way to the restaurant, once I get in there, I start to swell up immediately. Even if I eat just a little bit and drink some water, it's not about the food. It is about my gut brain receiving all of that. So I'll tell you this story. I had someone, um, because I used to go into deeper trances than I do now. I try to stay as light tranced as possible, or as lightly in tune with intuition as possible for my basic health and safety. Because and it took me years to train myself to do that because I would go very deep at the get go. I even went into convulsions once and broke this tooth over here. And and then another time I went into somebody actually um, asked me questions and I did the reading And once we got to the end, I said, "Oh, I'll give you one more question." And I was kind of relaxing in that moment. I just went, "Well, I'm giving this person a bonus question as a little gift because we have a minute, and I'll just answer something very simple." That was my assumption. Remember, never assume. And in that moment, she said, "Tell me about my entire life and what's to come." And I did that, and her entire life came at me, and I passed out. So when I awoke, I was shaking for about 6 or 7 hours. Some people took care of me, and once I was done, I was very curious as to why that happened. I knew something had come at me, so I reversed. I went back in time in my mind through everything, and I got to the moment she asked the question, and I slowed down the movie, and I just saw, oh my God, I saw this person's entire life. And what do you think happens in most lives? Well, they're on the toilet and eating and chatting and sleeping, and so I was seeing all of that at high speed, and then of course their job and their going to work and coming from work. This constant this very quick flux of everything that they were doing. So, just letting you know, it's a good idea to ask. This is for protection. People always say protection spells and all of those kinds of things. That's fine, but you want to build up your energy. You want to build up your, let's say, your Wei Qi. You want to build up the white light that surrounds you, the golden white light. You want to be able to have the dissolution of whatever is negative coming towards you or going out to other people. Those are things you can be trained in. And those are great. But getting just paranoid and running around and protecting yourself, I see that happening way too often. It's to be nice and calm and understand what's happening to you. So, I know a lot of people who are online, very famous people who are online, who I've always worried about them. They're very interesting people, educational people, but people say terrible things about them, and I always worry that through that person's kindness and love and compassion and empathy for the world, they would be susceptible to psychic attack. They would be susceptible to being cursed, to all kinds of things. So, that's one thing you want to make sure you're always wary of, not paranoid of, just wary of. Okay, somebody could say something, and you can do all kinds of things. You can learn Reiki, you can protect yourself that way, you can learn different meditations. There's all kinds of stuff you can do. So that will just also be something that you need to look at, because if you find your intuition isn't working really well, uh, remember it could be your body mind protecting you. Okay, so that's another one. This probably could go on for hours, but for now, with the increasing of the full moon, it's a good time to tune into, you know, where are my where are my beliefs blocking me? Let me join some groups that I'd love to be part of. You could be part of. I do healing groups every week, and every 2 weeks I do um, questioning. You could join us for that. Those are only by donation. You can come in and be part of it. You could also watch my videos. That's not part of Dose of Truth, and I'm also going to be doing a story time when it comes to February. So you can also go to my site, leurbanretreat.com, and see that. And of course, we're going to be changing Dose of Truth Tarot courses. We're going to be moving to a new website. I don't know when yet, but we'll announce it when the time comes. All right, my darlings, have a wonderful week and take care of yourself. Take care of your gut brain, take care of your belly, your intuition, and your energy fields. Take care. Bye.